Oh, that's why. That's why. Because I changed too many things. I bet you can hear me now. Is it working now? There we go. Sorry about that. That was the dumbest. That was the dumbest easy fix ever. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know. There's too many inputs. All right, we're going to start. All right, here's what we're going to do. All right. We're going to act like this never happened. Okay? Welcome back, everybody, to TIMBP Live. It is Thursday night. I'm Perry. Hope you're doing well. Everything worked out fine the first time. Everything's great. We're here. We're fine. I definitely didn't just completely screw up my audio in the middle of the week and thought that I had it fixed going right into tonight and then not realize that I didn't. I'm very sorry about that. I genuinely am. But thank you all so much for being here. What I was saying earlier, is that it is good to be here. I have had a very long week. I am worn out, but I am ready to have a drink. I hope you have had a good week. I hope you've been well. I hope you've enjoyed your time since we last saw each other. Full 7 days ago. I was saying hey to the folks who were in the chat, which were Tony Bag of Donuts and Anthony Iturietta. And Durrell the Whiskey Saint. And Michael. Good to see you, Michael. And Nick Foles. What's going on, Nick? Hope you're well. Anyway, busy stream tonight. We got a lot to get through. We got a lot to do. Much to be discussed. Gonna take care of some housekeeping for the podcast as well tonight. Just little stuff that doesn't largely affect most of you, I don't think. Unless you go to it, we'll get to it. But it'll be short and sweet, and then we'll move on. But excuse me. For the most part, if you're here and you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe and the like. Of course, if you're watching on the replay, thank you so much for doing that. All that good stuff. Now I'm just trying to make sure that all my levels are good. Trying to make sure that I'm not missing anything too bad. But I think we're good. So I tell you what, I'm just gonna go ahead and pour something because my nerves are a little fried after all that, and I need to calm down. So, I don't want to go too high proof. You know what? Just gonna go with Makers. Hello again, whiskey friends. Hello, Jeffrey Wack. What trouble are we getting into tonight? Plenty of trouble. Plenty of trouble, Jeffrey Wack. Trust me. Oh, sorry, I will have to stand up. This is from my the blend that was made from my barrel of Maker's Mark. From when I signed up to be an ambassador. I haven't had this in a little while. Fear would be a good way to get the palate warmed up. Mike Meyer, hello. Cheers to you. Mike and Jeff, y'all missed the technical difficulties, but that's fine. That's fine. You guys are right on time. I'd rather you were here for this and not for me flailing. You know, even though this is it's a special batch of Maker's Mark, special to me at least. It is still just very much Maker's to its core. Man, that's good. Oh, I haven't had regular Makers in a while. Delicious. Okay, I want to talk about something real quick with the podcast before we get too far. Before we get too far into it. This is... actually, I don't even really need to show anything for it. It is largely inconsequential to everybody, but I wanted to talk about, I think, just three things, actually. The first thing is, we switched hosting sites this week. We are now hosted by Buzzsprout, which means we have a new home on the internet for the podcast itself, a new website. That is mybourbonpod.buzzsprout.com. If you head there, it has direct links for every podcast app that you can find the podcast on. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, everything across the board. You might have noticed when this brings me to the second point. Anyway, thank you to Buzzsprout. We're very happy to be there. It was a much needed change. They have better analytics. They have much better hosting. It is more cost effective as well, just for everything that we get. This is much more inside baseball than I was intending to get with explaining to you why we switched. But I'm just saying to you what I'm thinking, because that's how it goes. This takes me into my second point. You may have noticed, if you are a Google Podcast subscriber, if that is how you get your podcasts, that there is no longer Google Podcasts. That was shuttered by Google for whatever reason. I could not tell you for the life of me why they decided to do that. It really just made things more difficult for people who listen to podcasts in general, especially if you are on Android and you're not just plugged into something like Spotify. However you want to listen to podcasts, it's no big deal to me. I don't care as long as you're listening, especially to TIMBP, of course. But I just wanted to make you aware of it if you all of a sudden were like, why can't I get into Google Podcasts? It's because it's not there anymore. The third thing kind of directly ties into that. If you are not on Google Podcasts anymore, but you like the usability of Google Podcasts and you want an alternative to that, I have good news for you. The podcast in just its audio form is now on YouTube Music. YouTube Music is a separate app from the actual YouTube video player that you can download and use for free just like you would any other podcast app. Every episode of the podcast is now on there and will be on there in the future, just like any other podcast app. So if you don't want to use Apple Podcasts, if you don't want to use Spotify, if you don't want to use, any of the other thousands of podcatcher apps that are out there, YouTube is right there for you to use. It is all organized into a playlist as well that will be updated weekly with the audio versions of the podcast, as well as a separate podcast playlist for the video versions that are updated weekly too on top of that. So I know that this is all just kind of like it's mostly codifying for my own mental health that I tell you these things. But if I didn't get it out there in one way or another, and I'll probably have to make another post on social media about it this week, just so more people are aware of it. I wanted to get it out there in one capacity or another. So to me, it's so that you have more ways that you can listen to the show. There's the diversification of platforms that the podcast are on. But it seems that, and looking at the numbers and everything anyway, most people are on Apple Podcasts, and then second is Spotify. If you haven't already, turn on automatic downloads too, so when new episodes come out, they just automatically get downloaded to your phone. It's a huge help for us. With the switch to the new hosting site, we are basically starting over with advertisers, which sucks. So we're going to be without advertising money on Buzzsprout for not too long, I hope. But pushing, and I hate to be this way, but pushing for downloads for a little bit is going to be kind of crucial for us to make sure that we get over the mark to ensure that we get everything that we need to cross the threshold for their advertising marketplace, so that we can get back to ads on the podcast. Stupid. It sucks. I hate to have to talk about this, but it's just part of it. Anyway. Yeah, it's all there. Same podcast apps that you normally use, except for Google Podcasts, of course, which is no longer there. But otherwise, everything is exactly the same. You just now have YouTube music that you can go and listen to the podcast on. And with all that being said, thank you for your continued support of not just TIMBP Live on YouTube and Twitch, but also listening to This Is My Bourbon Podcast. If you haven't done so already, please go subscribe. You can support the show on Patreon as well, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast for as little as $1 a month. That is also going to be increasingly important come next month, when I will more than likely be taking a little bit of a hiatus from doing live streams because my daughter will be born in just over a month, my second child. So if you want to continue to support TIMBP and myself in that short hiatus, that's going to be the best way to do that, because of course, we won't be doing snuffy chats, super chats, whatever, however you want to talk about it, in the interim. So, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. That's the best direct way to support what we do creatively with everything under the TIMBP umbrella. Jeff said, big month ahead. Yes. It's crazy that we just have basically 5 weeks left before she's here, and then it's off to the races. So I'm kind of just running out the clock. I mean, I will be back with live streams for sure. I don't know what that time frame will look like exactly, but I just wanted to let you all know ahead of time that there will be a little bit of a dead space for the live streams at some point, but the podcast will keep going. Eric is going to be doing the primary hosting duties. We're going to try to bank some episodes as well, just in case. But the way that our recording schedule works, it's pretty flexible. and it's baked into kind of my work schedule as well. So it works out pretty easily to where it'll be okay. It'll be fine. I'm genuinely not worried about it. I said this for months now. But yeah, so anyway, that devolved into me talking about my own personal life as well. But anyway, patreon.com slash hashtag dad space, not dead space. I love that, Bourbon Engineer. Absolutely fantastic. Cheers, everyone. Cheers to a healthy newborn. Absolutely. Thank you so much. If Eric needs a guest host, I know a guy. We will hit you up for that. I'm going to try to help him line up some guest hosts as well for when I am in paternity leave as well. So we will keep that in mind too. Thank you so much for the offer, Jeff. I really, really do appreciate that. That is all the housekeeping I have at the top of the docket right now, or at least off the top of the dome, because I can't think of anything else. My brain has been fried this week. Switching podcast providers has been a lot more stressful than I thought it was going to be. And not that Buzzsprout has done anything bad. They haven't. They've been incredibly helpful and easy to transfer over to. It's just our old one. It was like trying to cancel any subscription service where you're like, I just don't want to pay you money anymore. Please let me not give you money. They're like, well, but you could do this. And it's like, I don't want to do that. Anyway, I'm ready to make a drink as well. I in the description, if you saw, I've been, or at least in the title, I've been concocting this idea for a cocktail. Concoctail? Ooh, that's a good name for a show. Been trying to come up with this idea for a cocktail. And it's kind of a play, and I'm absolutely blanking on the hang on. There we go. It's kind of a play on the Gold Rush a little bit, and I need to grab the bourbon that I was going to use. That's plenty. Which was Maker's Cast Strength. So drinking on just regular Makers was kind of appropriate for it. But I'll that's my headphone case. Okay. Hang on. I want to try to do this so you can see the recipe that I'm going off of as well. Bum bum bum. And I'm just going with the Maker's Mark recipe. Nope, that's not the one that I want. Will it not let me? Hang on. Sorry. There we go. Okay. All right. So, let me prepare my glass and let me prepare my cocktail shaker. So I'm not doing exactly the Gold Rush with son of a gun. The honey syrup. I'm not doing it with... I am doing it with lemon juice. Of course, I'm doing it with bourbon. But if you know me, A, you know I like to go a little bit different, and B, you know that I like mead. So I wanted to attempt, since mead is a honey wine, I wanted to see if this would work out. So here's what we're going to do. The recipe calls for 2 parts bourbon. So we're literally just going to go with 2 ounces. And I'm just doing this in a cocktail shaker. And I'm using Maker's Cast Strength as well for this. It says 3/4 part honey syrup. I'm just going to go for a full ounce of my... Joe the Sample Guy. Cheers, all. Caress that lonely like button, won't you? Yes, please, wouldn't you? Lemon juice go. There we go. And then 3/4 part fresh squeezed lemon juice. So there I will go with 3/4 part of the lemon juice. But what I like about the using the mead instead of the honey syrup, A, because of course I like mead, and B, because more alcohol, right? All right. Oh, that's cold. Ah, there we go. Woo! Right to the very tip top of the glass. I have been struggling to perfect the bourbon and mead cocktail. And I'm hoping that just by simply playing on something else, this is going to be what works. So, look at that. All right. Cheers. We're going to see how this turned out. It's very bourbon forward. It's very alcohol forward. It's missing... I think it really does need just the actual honey. Look, it's not bad. But it's really dry. Like it's not sweet. It's not sweet at all. I was really hoping it'd be sweeter than it is. And it just simply is not sweet. It is a dry, unrefreshing cocktail. Huh. I told you at the meetup 7-Up is the key to mead. I didn't add bourbon to mine, but I don't see why it won't work. I mean, I still haven't tried that. But I don't disagree with you. I don't see why it wouldn't work. I feel like it's so dry. I feel like I'm sucking on a lemon more than anything. Whew. Okay. Well, we'll keep working on it. Maybe a different type of mead. Because I thought at first, so what I used, if you weren't paying attention, was the Viking Blood from Danskmjord. Which I like this mead on its own. It's not really holding up in the cocktail. If I had used Chaucer's, which is quite a bit sweeter, it might have worked out better. But here we are. The Viking Blood or Chaucer's, Tony? I like both. I've got one over here too. This one is crazy. This is a local. Are you freaking kidding me? I was just over there. Oh, Viking. This is one out of Crestwood, Kentucky. I was just in Crestwood the other day, and I did not realize this is where this was made. It's from a place called Hive and Barrel. It's a PB&J sandwich mead. Grape and honey wine with peanuts. And it tastes exactly how it sounds. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's very desserty. But it's delicious. And mead lasts forever for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe I used too much lemon. It's getting bitter. Getting kind of bitter. PB&J, is there a better combination? I mean, there really is not. And it's a great mead as well. It's just different. It's adventurous, you know? I like doing something different. Speaking of something different. You know what I don't talk about enough? I don't talk about Blantons enough. I leave it up to the mutant. You know? I leave it up to Eric. Because he's the Blanton's boy of the podcast. However, recently, we got, and this is kind of spoiling a future episode of the podcast, but we got approached by the author of Warehouse H, Dominic Guglielmi, asking us if we wanted to not only read and review his book on Blanton's, but also have him on the podcast And I mean, the answer was yes, of course. And I read through this a couple weeks ago. Absolutely loved it. Such a fun read on Blanton's. And just, nothing makes you want to nothing makes you want to drink Blanton's more than reading about it. Same can be said, I mean, for just about any bourbon. Truly. Say yes if he gets you a pick of Blanton's. Okay. But so since I finished the book, we're watching Justified, yeah. Since I finished the book, I was like, I haven't bought a bottle of Blanton's in years. And truly, it's been years. I'll show you the last bottle of Blanton's that I bought. This was a bottle, and it's not even a full bottle. It's a 375. That was dumped the month that my first daughter was born. In 2020. So, almost 4 years ago. It's been almost 4 years since I bought a bottle of Blanton's. Now, for those of you who don't know, I work in Frankfort, Kentucky, once a week. I normally work from home, but once a week I have to go into the office, take care of stuff, and it is literally 3 minutes away from Buffalo Trace. And I started thinking yesterday or Tuesday, I don't remember, about how on Wednesdays they normally drop Blanton's at the Buffalo Trace gift shop. And how last Wednesday was also my birthday. And so I was like, I will just check the Buffalo Trace. What does Buffalo Trace have today group on Facebook, and see if they do in fact have Blanton's, and see if anybody's posted the dump dates for what they have. Sure enough, they had Blanton's. Unfortunately, though, they did not have my birthday as one of their dump dates. But they did have my anniversary as one of the dump dates. So June 11th, 2024. It's my 8th wedding anniversary. And so for the first time in 4 years, I bought a bottle of Blanton's. It was on my lunch break yesterday. And I haven't decided yet. I mean, I kind of want to open it just to see if it's a good barrel, if it's a good bottle or not. Because you checked on your birthday how they're going to dump and sell on the same day. No, dude. I checked to see if they dumped last week on my birthday. I checked to see yesterday if they had dumped a barrel last week. Because last week was my birthday. I checked yesterday to see if they dumped a barrel last week. It's all good. I'm giving you a hard time. I probably didn't explain it very well. Anyway. But anyway, it was very cool to see that that they had an anniversary bottle. So it's very nice to have it. The bad thing is, though, I'm now in Blanton's jail. So if they do wind up with a bottle that or a barrel that was dumped on my birthday, and it's actually got a pretty good color to it, honestly. If they do wind up with a barrel that was dumped on my birthday last Wednesday, I will not be able to get it because I still have 89 days until I'm out of Blanton's jail, and then I will be able to go and get another one. But that being said, you know, I'm not one to get into too much of like tater hype. But man, how good does a bottle of Blanton's look? I mean, truly. There's just nothing like it to have as a display piece on your shelf, on your bar, even on your kitchen counter. Is the other one sealed? You should open this one. Which other one? The one from my daughters? From when Eden was born? The one from when Eden was born is open. But I'm not opposed to having multiples of the same bottle open. I mean, like I said, too, I am curious about this one. And okay. Just so you know. And just so I can't go back on it. It's now open. The wax is off. Okay. Because I'm curious. I am curious enough. Then save this one for your anniversary? Nah, too late. I mean, here's the deal. I want to see how this one. I'm too curious about this one. Like, I just want to know. Oh, that was a good pop. America. I'm too curious to know how this barrel is. I'm too bourbon curious. What's up, 4 a.m. premiere? What's up, Ben? You know, I premiered that video for this week's episode, and nobody watched it. So, not going to do that again. Also, Don Nishida, howdy, howdy, howdy. Good to see you. Your box is going out tomorrow, by the way, for the samples that you won last week. I apologize for not getting it out sooner. Be in the hood this weekend. If the only free time I have this weekend is like Sunday around noon to early afternoon. So hit me up. You all watched it at 4 a.m.? Really? Because the email I got about the live stream said that nobody watched it. Interesting. Yo, y'all did watch it. Oh my gosh. How did I not? I didn't see that. It did not show me the metrics that you all watched it. That's bizarre. Thanks for watching, Ben. And Emily, too. Anyway. What was I talking about? We'll talk talk, Ben. I might be able to make something on Saturday happen if you're going to be around Lexington. We'll figure it out. Anyway, first bottle of Blanton's that I have cracked, that I have bought, again, in 4 years. It's a tea stopper. For anybody who needs to know, anybody who's curious. Here we are, all these years later. Why was I awake is a better question. You are correct, sir. You pose a very good question. I'll be honest with you. This smells pretty good. You going to be in Somerset on Saturday? Okay, fair enough. If you're passing through at all, just shoot me a message. Honestly, this really smells quite good. I like the thought. If this tastes as good as it smells, and I genuinely think that this smells pretty good. If it tastes as good as it smells, I will be happy that I picked this up, A, and B, that I will have a special bottle for my anniversary that I can put aside, like this one. I had a straight from the barrel Blanton's. I don't know where it is right now. I think it might still be at my grandmother's house, my grandparents' house. Oh, Ben, I lived in Richmond for a while. I love Richmond. Near and dear to my heart. I hope you go to the Paddy Wagon. It's nothing special. I mean, it is to me, but it's not like a bourbon bar. It's just a good pub bar. You know what I mean? Anyway. You know what I never mentioned, by the way? Was that if you want to support the show through our method of super chatting, known as Snuffy Chatting, you can do so by heading to the link that is pinned at the top of the chat, both on YouTube and Twitch, or also in the description below. It's the Stream Elements link, or by hitting up Venmo directly, Pirit78, PRITT78. Whatever is easiest for you. It goes to support not only TIMBP Live, but also our main man himself, Mr. Snuffleupagus back here, who, by the way, we found out last week has the exact same birthday as the one and only Eric Smith, the Whiskey Mutant. So you should be excited about that, I suppose. Yes, it feeds him, feeds the show. We appreciate it. And if you can't do so, we understand. But it's just like super chatting. You know how it goes. Every time you watch a thing we do on YouTube, it gets us closer to having super chats and me not having to tell you about snuffy chats on Stream Elements. But anyway. All right, let's find out about this barrel of Blanton's, and then we'll talk about what I think might be the best alternative to Blanton's on the market. Oh! What is that finish? I've never gotten maple on on a Blanton's finish before. Hello? What are you, sir? Are you from higher in the Rick House than most of the other ones I've ever had? This is... Yo, this might be some of the best Blantons I've ever had. Bourbon Podcaster tries to find alternative to Blanton's, but in the process discovers Blanton's is just really good. This is an excellent single barrel. This has to be, because the general consensus right now is that Blanton's is, I can't believe that I'm talking about Blanton's. I've been doing this for 7 years. Here I am, tatering out over Blanton's. Tater talk about Blanton's, y'all. Here we go. The general consensus about Blanton's is that they have dropped in age, right? Because they're trying to meet demand. This does not read like what we are assuming right now is some of the younger Blanton's barrels on the market. 4 or 5 years old. This seems like it's closer to like the 6, 7, 8-year-old barrel. This is good. This is good. I'll even put it up against. I'll put it up against this one, which, as you can see, is almost gone. But I did help pick this barrel of Blanton's. One of my claims to fame. Woo! Woo! I better just finish this, or else it's not gonna last. So this was from the infamous this was from the infamous pick that I got to do at Buffalo Trace with Liquor Barn that Chad from It's Bourbon Night joined me on, where he and I helped Brad from Liquor Barn pick what wound up being 6 different barrels of bourbon, 3 Buffalo Trace, 2 Weller Antiques, and a Blanton's. And this is the end of the bottle of Blanton's that I have from 2018. 2018. Compared to one from 6 years later. I can't believe I held on to this for that long. Goodness gracious. That's a beautiful sight right there. Look. Isn't that nice? The book about Blanton's next to an empty bottle of Blanton's. It's good. I heard if you message Chad My Daily Bourbon, he has special Blanton's for the asking. That is true. That is true. I don't want to spoil too much of the surprise, But if you don't know about this, wait until after the stream is over, but go and message My Daily Bourbon and ask him about his Blanton special, because he still has a couple cases, from what I understand. See if he'll help you out, because he's a good guy about it. I'm gonna leave that message up for a little while, just so everybody knows. Make sure, if you're watching this on the replay, make sure that you go and you message My Daily Bourbon on Instagram, on Threads, whatever, right now, and say, I heard about your Blanton's pick that you have, and I'm looking to pick up a bottle, and it'll help you out. I mean, it's as easy as that. Bonus points if you include a photo. Absolutely. He will know what you're talking about. He will absolutely know what you're talking about. Anyway, I'm going to try this this pick I got to do. I got to be a part of. I didn't do it myself. It might have had too much airtime. I don't know. They smell fairly similar. Oh. It's mellowed out. I mean, it is severely mellowed out. Not severely in a bad way, but it's just... It's its own creature. You know, this is a primed premier pour. Brand new first crack pour of Blanton's, as opposed to one that's been open for 6 years. Can't believe I waited that long. It's bonkers, man. Use code PRitter at checkout. Yes! There we go. Now we're talking. Tony's right. All right, I'm going to pour a little bit more of my anniversary bottle. Yeah, there's still a couple drops. Still a couple drops in this pick I did that I got to be a part of. I got to stop saying did. I want to talk about everybody's always wanting to know what the best alternative to Blanton's is. And if I have had this before, I have completely forgotten about it. I have to get my knife out because I can't find the perforation. If I've had this bottle before, I've forgotten about it. If I've never bought this bottle before. It's the first time that I've gotten one. I got this bottle today. I could have bought this bottle this weekend. It's got two hang tags on it. If you're buying Blanton's, you're only getting one hang tag on the neck. Okay? This guy's got two. What are you... Blanton's has just got a measly 1? This guy's got 2? How's that gonna look on your shelf? Friggin' amazing, man. Sorry, I'm memeing. It's the same neck tag. It's not like it's, two different ones. I don't even know how it wound up with 2 neck tags. It's bizarre. But so for anybody who has listened to this week's episode, you might know that I went on a distillery tour this weekend. I can never find the daggum perforation. Well, Tony, that might be because you're blind. Sorry. Tony, I'm really sorry. I've had a really long week, and that just... I love you, man. Visually challenged, don't be so offensive. You're right. Hi, John. Good to see you. These 2 bottles, I saw that coming from a mile away. Don with the joke of the night. Shut it down, everybody. Don's done it. 2 puns for the price of 1. He's done it. We can all pack it up and go home. He did it. Don's won the pun of the night. The joke of the night's gone to Don Nishida. He says he never wins, and he's done it. It's bad when John defends me. He doesn't have Stevie Wonder glasses yet. Maybe he should, though. John. My guy. Brutal. And we're back. Anyway. This is a bold statement. I know it's bold. And here's how bold of a statement this is. I was about to go live. I was sitting in my chair. I was quaking. I started to get nervous about this sentiment. Because every channel, every podcast, every Instagram page, every blog, every newsletter, every guy who wears a shirt that says, "Ask me about my Blanton's collection," has an opinion on what the best alternative to Blanton's is. And the thing is, they're all controversial. And honestly, they can all suck sometimes. But here's the thing. I've been doing this for 7 years. And I don't think I have ever gotten to the point where I have said, other than the ancient age 90s, I don't know. There's so many alternatives you could find that are high rye single barrels. I mean, even something like Kentucky Spirit. Because that was the other half of this too, where I was like, I could do a live stream on my top 5 alternatives to Blanton's. That's old hat. Plenty of people have done that. This is the one that I feel like is readily available, has good age to it, is cheaper than Blanton's, and really came out of the gate and surprised me. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and pour this up. Woo! Another tight cork. Again, never bought a bottle of this in particular. Had plenty of products from this brand before. Visited them over the weekend. This was, out of the tasting that I had, the one that surprised me the most. Slapdick whiskey. John, you've nailed it again. You got it. He's just hitting, man. He can't miss. He can't miss. The guy's just crushing it right now. This is a $50 bottle of bourbon. It's non-age stated. But the sentiment is that for this brand, you are clairvoyant, dude. It's insane. It's wild. The third eye is, it may as well replace the two that you're just a cyclops at that point, right? The sentiment is that this is the oldest stock that this brand has, aside from what they need for, their more expensive products, the ones that really take the cake, right? This is how they showcase what they do with their blending. And again, I'm nervous. I'm nervous about saying this. I really, really am. But I'm gonna stand behind this. I'm gonna stand behind this. Jefferson's very old Kentucky straight bourbon. Very small batch. At 90.2 proof. $50 a bottle. Quit edging us. I'm sorry. Look. I did like the just say Jeffersons though. This bottle surprised me so hard in the tasting that I got to do at Kentucky Artisan Distillery. I could not get over the fact. I thought before going into this tasting that this was a $70 bottle of bourbon. At least $70. It is high rye. It smells largely similar to Blanton's. About as large of, if we want to go with wine terms, as about as large of a bouquet as you might find on Blanton's. Not exactly the same flavor profile, but they're not a dissimilar product. Now, I will start with Blanton's in this case. Again, I think this is just a fantastic single barrel that I lucked into. However, there is just that extra little push of depth and complexity. Even if it's just slightly. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. It doesn't have to as we say at TIMBP, blow your balls off. But it does kind of hit those same corners that Blanton's does. It doesn't have to, really go past any edges. Doesn't have to make you feel things that replace Blanton's, but it does at least give you the opportunity to say, if I need an alternative, another high rye bourbon in the same price range, definitely within the same age bracket. Is that something? I don't know. Regardless, they give you the same experience, and whether there's a leveling out between proof and age, I don't know for sure. But the proof points are at least so nominal between the two that it doesn't quite seem to matter. I mean, one is 93, the other is 90.2. Regardless, they are incredibly similar. What Blanton's can do with a single barrel, Jefferson seems to be able to do with a small batch. What that says about Buffalo Trace and Blanton's, I don't know what that says about Jefferson's in Kentucky Artisan, but it is still a testament to the fact that there is a product, at least by my estimation, and I'm going to put it, into the annals of Blanton's replacement, Blanton's alternative librarian Rolodex thing, whatever. There's something out there. There's another something out there. And I feel like this is a really, really good alternative. Jefferson's Reserve, very old Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, very small batch. I genuinely think this is a good bourbon, a very good bourbon, especially in comparison, side by side with Blanton's. I have, I kind of have found myself thinking about this bourbon in the same way that I do with the taterification of Blanton's. Where ever since I tried it on Saturday, I was like, man, I think I have to get a bottle of this. It just had that same kind of effect of this just fits what I want from a little bit of a more relaxing, lower proof. Feel like I can share it around. Feel like it's something that people are not going to expect when you pull out, but there's still some kind of name recognition to it. When you do bring it out and pour it for people, they're not going to be upset about it. Talk it up a little bit too. I don't know. I would enjoy just as much pouring some of this into a Blanton's bottle and seeing what people think about it. I would do. You know what? Nobody steal this from me. Nobody steal this from me. I want to do some kind of TikTok or YouTube video or whatever where I take. Nobody ever expects you to pull it out. You are right, Tony. And you could go to prison for it. I want to take this, pour some of it into a Blanton's bottle, and have some kind of tasting group and see what they think about it, just based on Blanton's alone. That kind of marketing campaign. I think it would be fun. There you go. That's my big hot take for the episode, for the live stream. If somebody ever asks you for an alternative to Blanton's that you can just get on the shelf, even if it's not a single barrel, not that there aren't single barrels of Jefferson's very old out there, Jefferson's Reserve. The at least the small batch that is out there. It's a good alternative, man. $50. I would be thrilled to to get a bottle of this. I bought a bottle myself. Anyway, last thing I have planned before we just kind of hang out for the rest of the episode. Even though we're well into it at this point. We've been together for a while. We've been here for a bit. We got to redress the set. I'm sorry. I was not expecting this to show up today. I got a notification that I had a package being delivered from UPS today, and I wasn't expecting anything. It was coming from Papa Ritter hasn't even gotten here yet. You're right. A name I didn't even recognize, to be honest with you. And it got dropped off at my front door. I didn't have to sign for it or anything. And then I opened the box. I said, holy crap. And sure enough, there was a full bottle of batch 2 of the Raconteur rye on my front step. If you go back and watch the live stream I did for my review of batch 1, glowing review of that rye. I want to go ahead and pull up some of the information for just Raconteur rye in general, but also batch 2. Give me just a second. Where are you? Here you are. Raconteur rye. First of all, I don't know if I said this or not, but just from a graphic designer standpoint, I genuinely love the logo. I think it looks slick. A brazen approach. After the successful launch of Raconteur Rye in May 2024, decisions were in order. We knew a second batch would be fashioned similarly, as the original components lie slumbering in Woodwork Collective's warehouse. But should we repeat the process and strive for consistency, or push the established flavor profile into new frontiers? Nature, it seems, had a plan of its own. This summer's extraordinary heat dome effect left its mark not only on the landscape, but on the barrels resting in warehouses across Kentucky. As we sampled from the whiskey destined for the second batch of Raconteur Rye, we noticed subtle yet remarkable changes. For lack of a better phrase, everything was dialed up. The vanilla and caramel notes were darker, the fruit notes were richer, and the oak backbone was strengthened in both structure and spice. Seizing on the opportunity, Batch 1's formula was carefully revised. The initial result was an impressively robust spirit, one that not only accentuated the heavier components of Batch 1, but offered an entirely new level of complexity. All that was left to refine was its balance. While some producers might accomplish this task via dilution or the addition of lighter, sweeter whiskey, we opted for a brazen approach. Instead of taming or softening the darker elements, we bolstered them with older whiskey and choice cooperage. Balance was then achieved with the final blend, spending additional time within Mizunara casks that previously held 17-year-old Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey. The second batch of Raconteur Rye carries the name Brazen on its label, not as an assertion of boldness, but as a reminder that every whiskey has a unique story to tell. Typically, producers bend and shape that story to align with a predetermined flavor profile, but every once in a while, if we as blenders listen to our palate and trust in Mother Nature, astonishing things can happen. That's what Brazen means to us, and we can't wait to share its story with you. Raconteur rye is to be enjoyed neat, on the rocks, in a cocktail, or however you appreciate your whiskey. But regardless of your preference, always enjoy it responsibly. Dave Jennings and James Simons. Wilmington Piper with the $20 Snuffy Chat. Late tonight, all good? Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. Caught me off guard. I just got the notification on my phone, but well, I was in the middle of reading. Curated by David Jennings and the Woodwork Collective, distilled in Indiana, aged in Indiana and Kentucky. Bottled by the Woodwork Collective in Louisville, Kentucky. It's a 95.5 rye. 7 years old, finished for 9 months. It's 122.74 proof, and it yielded 1,000 bottles. Also, Emily Chambers is here. And it retails for $130. It's composed of a 95.5 Indiana straight rye, just in New Charred Oak, a 95.5 Indiana straight rye, finished in a 48-month cured toasted oak, and a 95.5 Indiana straight rye, finished in a Mizunara cask. I'm sorry. I think the second 95.5 Indiana rye was aged in a 48-month cured toasted oak. I apologize for that. It will be released in September, so next month, on Bourbon Outfitters and a couple other retailers. So if you are interested, keep an eye out. But regardless, thank you as always to Woodwork Collective and to Dave Jennings for sending the media sample for review. I'm very, very excited to get into this one. I think I might, just like I was last time, be the first one to get to review this. Oh boy. I didn't have a full bottle last time, so I'm not used to the cork on this. Give it a little bit of assistance. Oh. Perry, did you happen to meet Benjamin Eves at KA, one of two IRL producers who know me? Not sure it would have helped tour experience. That name sounds familiar? Maybe? Maybe. At KA. I don't know. Emily, hit me up. We'll let's talk about it. Otherwise, not to steal a phrase from it's Bourbon Night, but right off the bat, the color is. Whoo, buddy. That is dark as heck. Oh my gosh. So again, this one is known as Brazen. 7 years old, 122 proof. The ethanol is coming through quite a bit on the nose. I think it needs a little bit of time to open up. But it is higher proof, man. I mean, it's a higher proof rye. There's so much clove on it. I mean, it is just indicative of a special higher proof, I mean, cast strength rye for sure. I think the thing that I said on batch 1 was that it was a triumphant rye, that there was so much to be said about it that just showed success in the blending process. And the nose on this really shows to me that there is continued success in or continued experience, you know. I think what I don't have anything left from my sample of batch 1, but from what I'm going off of, at least in memory, between the two, I remember batch 1 having so much energy and vibrance in terms of like, here we are, you have to see what we can do with this rye. And it's not to say that Brazen doesn't, because it definitely does. But it is so much more indicative of the talent of the blenders. And it's incredibly harmonious. Even while it's still noticing that there are sweet notes that are a part of it, especially into like caramelized sugar, there is a savory note. I'm especially noticing what I would identify as kind of like peppercorn and a coffee rub that would go on a steak. They seem to really play off of each other incredibly well. It's the thing that Eric and I, my co-host on This Is My Bourbon Podcast, said about batch 1 was it felt like a rye in the same level of specialness as something like a Thomas H. Handy. And at the very least, this nose is like it. I mean, it definitely does not shy away from being a special rye on the nose. All that being said, I am excited to get into the palate on this one. So, cheers, y'all. Yeah. Yeah. Salted caramel, espresso. It is hot, too. It is making my eyes water a little bit. Wow. The heat, the rye spice. I've never had that with a rye whiskey before, where my eyes actually, there's the brazenness. If a whiskey makes your eyes water, you know that it's there to kick you in the shins and run away proudly. Okay, I need to go back for a second sip before I give more tasting notes, but I am all smiles so far. Holy crap. Second sip helped to tame down a little bit of the alcohol burn. Still getting that salted caramel. Still getting gosh, there's like a dark chocolate and chili spice to it as well. It's so complex. I don't know how the finish is still progressing as well. I mean, it has gone from savory to sweet to bitter, back to sweet, back to savory. It mellows out. If I'm rating it on the TIMBP scale, nose, palate, finish, and price, I mean the finish is easily and each category is out of 5. The finish is easily a 5. That is unbelievably good. There's so much oak influence. And I am with whiskeys, with bourbons, with ryes, just with oaked spirits in general. For me, if especially once you get into barrel proof spirits, the oakier the better. I love a big, dry, oaky bourbon or rye. This can go into the dry territory, but it doesn't do it so aggressively that you feel like you need to just drown yourself with glass after glass of water. It's all very balanced. While still giving you massive amounts of flavor. That's phenomenal. And I loved, again, I loved batch 1. I don't even remember if I scored batch 1. I really don't. But batch 2. Batch 2 is very quickly jumped up towards some of the best whiskey I've had all year. And I think that if I'm going to score it just based on my TIMBP scoring, system, nose, palate, finish, and price with each category out of 5. The alcohol gets knocked off after a few minutes in the glass. I mean, I started doing this about 10, 15 minutes ago. And it's easily mellowed out since then. It started becoming more not really traditional rye. I think a more modern rye is what, and that's not a takeaway, or excuse me, not takeaway. I'm not taking away points because of it by any means, but it is definitely its own creature because of it. It's so I'm missing just a slight hint of like bacon spices, I think that's what I'm missing, and it's just ever so slight, but the nose is a 4 for me, and I think it's the same on the palate. I changed my mind. Palate's a 4.5. The finish is still a 5. I mean, the finish just goes through these roller coasters of flavors and so many different experiences. It's bold, it's brash, it's brazen. Price at $130 a bottle. You can tell the craft has gone into this. Carefully selected barrels, carefully crafted, blended. I would easily buy a bottle of this. I was sent a bottle of this, and I would buy a bottle of this. With the way the economy is, I would have to spend a little bit of time thinking about it, but it's still a 4. I mean, I don't mind it at $130. That I mean, and see, look, Dad bought a bottle of bourbon for $8,000 yesterday, right? I mean, everything's fine. Everything's fine, right? I'll give y'all one guess what bottle of bourbon he bought for $8,000. He didn't really buy a bottle for $8,000, but you know. I mean, this is an 18.5. This is an exceptional bottle of rye whiskey. This is phenomenal. I wish I will be thinking about the first time I got to try this for a while. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I didn't think that they could have outdone themselves after batch 1. Lo and behold, they did. And then some. Another triumph. Another triumph. I'll take it. Thank you, Woodwork Collective. Thank you, Dave Jennings. Thank you, Raconteur Rye, for providing the bottle, the media sample. I'm gonna get Eric's thoughts tomorrow as well when we record. We got an interview that we're recording tomorrow as well. No spoilers just yet. Big Vic, what's going on, buddy? Cheers to you as well. Hope you're doing all right. Man, I got so much stuff I got to get through. Yeah, Dad didn't buy the Millennium. He bought a Peter Frampton Les Paul for $12,000 instead. You know how it goes. It was a hard choice. He really tried. He really had to pick and choose between the two. But I think he made the right choice, to be honest with you. All right. Did he get a talk box too? Don't believe the hype. He did get a talk box. Man, I spilled some of that cocktail on me, and it looks like I'm leaking. I'm gonna cover up. He did get a talk box, but I had to show him the way. It took me way too long to come up with that joke. Too much. That is too much, man. Justin Deering, also, thank you so much for being here, buddy. Good to see you. It's been a minute. It's always fun when you're in the chat because you always are. You're quick. You're quick, man. You're quick. Hot take, quick. I didn't feel like you do. Oh, that's a shame. I don't think I can drink any more of that cocktail. I think it's gotten too sour. I mean, I guess a Gold Rush is supposed to be like a take on a whiskey sour. So maybe I just wasn't in the right headspace for it. Like I was hoping for something that was sweeter. Maybe I can't. If it's a... I'll be fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. We're all good. Nobody panic. Everything's okay. There he is, Dave Jennings. You are welcome, buddy. Thank you so much for the media bottle. Absolutely fantastic, man. You killed it again, dude. You did it. And I think I made it again as the first person to review another batch of Raconteur rye. But my goodness gracious. I genuinely do not know how you all outdid yourselves after batch 1. But it shot up to top of the charts. Has anyone been picking up McKenna Tenure lately? I saw it at Liquor Barn today. Where's my other guy? Where's my... Jake Miller. What's up, buddy? Rare breed or Maker's Cast Strength for my first pour? Ooh. Go Maker's Cask and then go rare breed. That's because I prefer one over the other. And also because, you're going to get more. You're going to have a better time tasting with with rare breed. After drinking Maker's Cast Strength. Not that Maker's Cast Strength isn't an incredibly full-bodied bourbon, but it's a wheater versus the high rye. You know what I mean? Regardless, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. It's been a very full live stream that we've done tonight. I appreciate the heck out of you guys for being here tonight. Next week, I don't know what's going on next week. What's going on next week? I don't know. We'll see. Thank you, Dave Jennings. Thank you, Woodwork Collective. Thank you, Raconteur Rye, for sending this bottle for review. Man, it's just... Get you some when it's available next month. That does it for me. Follow on social media at My Bourbon Pod. Go support the show on Patreon, patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast. And that does it. We'll see y'all next time. Until then, though, I'm Perry. This is TIMBP Live. Bye.